And welcome in. We are here at the On3 NIL Elite Series. Myself, JD Pico, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, national recruiting analyst for us here at On3, Josh Newberg. Josh, how we doing, brother?
Oh, man, excited to be here. Nashville, Tennessee is the place to be if you're a top recruit this week.
What a day, man. Tons of the top prospects across the country came and sat down with you and I. We got to talk to the top player in the country, Dylan Stewart, talk to the top wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith. Like, we go down the list here, and we will. We talked to all of them. You're about to hear from a lot of them right now. But this event, one of a kind, educating these guys in the evolving world that is the NIL space. What were your thoughts on today?
Oh, man, so many thoughts. But, just to be here amongst the great ones. And when we talk about NIL across the country, there's tens of thousands of high school athletes. There's thousands of college athletes. But we're dealing with the top 1% of 1%. These are the athletes that are actually going through the NIL process every day, hearing about it, learning about it, just being in it. So being around them and hearing some of their stories and some of their experiences throughout the NIL process has been a learning experience for myself.
One of the added benefits today, you and I got to sit down and talk to the top players in the country about their recruitment. So, first interview we want to show y'all, top wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith, committed to Ohio State. Georgia's in the mix. Some Florida schools in the mix.
Yeah.
Josh, any thoughts?
Yeah, kind of surprised to hear that there's two other Florida schools that he's going to officially visit. So let's get right to it. The number one wide receiver in America, Jeremiah Smith. Here at the On3 NIL Elite Series, and we're sitting down with five-star receiver, the number one wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah, welcome to Nashville.
Thank you.
Now, you've been solidly committed to the Buckeyes for a while now, but that hasn't stopped any other teams from coming to talk to you. How do you consider your recruitment right now to Ohio State?
I got a lot of stuff going on right now. Especially with visiting other schools. You got people going at me on Twitter, saying, "Oh, why you committed and you visiting other schools?" But you're not in my shoes, so you don't know what's really going on. So I'm just taking it day by day. I'm just building a relationship with coaches because you never know, you might need them one day. So.
Why do you entertain that on Twitter? I just got to ask. Why do you entertain it? You're the number one wide receiver in America. You can do what you want.
It's fun because they not gonna expect you to respond. So when they get back, so it's fun. I just be having fun.
They respond a little different too, huh?
Yeah,
Oh no, best of luck. Hope you come to our school, Mr. Smith, sir. Man, Jeremiah, you showed up. The Ohio State smock.
Yeah.
Got the Georgia duffel bag, fresh off an official visit to Georgia. Talk about that visit. How was that? Where are the dogs at with you right now, man?
The visit went well. Especially with I had a great time with Dylan Raiola, Coach B-Mac, Coach Ryan Williams, Coach Kirby. Athens, great city to play in. Really just Coach B-Mac for sure. First I'm gonna touch on Coach B-Mac. Coach B-Mac, he's a funny guy, down to earth person. He keep it real with me when we had conversations. When I was in our meeting, the receivers room with him, we was breaking down a lot of film, stuff like that. Just telling him I could come in as a freshman and start. That's big, cause that's the SEC. That's the biggest conference in college football. So that was me for sure.
You mentioned that Dylan Raiola is recruiting you. He's not the only quarterback recruiting you. No. There's also a guy named DJ Lagway who's here in Nashville with us, and he's been recruiting you pretty hard. Now, DJ told me he's going to be in Gainesville this weekend for his official. You're going to be in Gainesville this weekend for your official. What are you looking to see in Gainesville from the Gators?
Really just sit down with Coach Billy Napier and Coach Billy G. Just have a great talk with them about the program and everything. The last time I visited, I had a great time. I really set the bar high with that visit for sure. Florida is definitely a threat right now, I can say for sure.
Okay. A couple other schools in the Sunshine State, it sounds like, in the mix. Miami's in the mix. Florida State's in the mix. Will both those schools get official visits from you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I believe after OT7 Nationals, I'll go straight down to Florida State, and then after that, I'm going right down to Coral Gables. With Florida State, they've been to school on me since my freshman year. Coach Mike Novak could say when I first walked into his office, I sat down with him. He kept it real with me. He was like, "You going to be a program changer. We need guys like you at Florida State to get the program back to where it used to be." Florida State is a great school for sure. And with Miami, Coach Mario Cristobal, he loves me to death. He texts me each and every day. Coach KB, a receiver coach, he's a real one for sure. I can say that. Miami's just a great program. They're getting back to the way it used to be for sure.
You're a 5-star plus player, number one wide receiver in the entire country, no shortage of options. Is there a timeline for you to where you might want to get to making a decision?
Not till signing day. I'm not, because I want to see the games. I want to see how everything play out for sure.
That's December or February, in theory.
It's
It's still early.
Yeah, it's
Reserving the
still
right
early.
to change, but
I'll say December. It might change.
sure.
Yeah, it might.
Communicate along the way with the Ohio State staff, like, hey, I set up an official.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go here. Do you kind of give them the heads up?
Yeah, I told them before, because when I visited, when I took a visit to Florida, it was unofficial. Me and Coach Hotline, he was like, just let me know that time. But ever since then, I tell them they cool with it.
They give you the space to do it?
Yeah, they cool with it.
Which player is recruiting you the hardest right now?
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
Between which
DJ Lowry and Dylan Raiola.
Those two pretty high-profile quarterbacks to have blowing up your cell phone, man. Anytime they call, I'm listening. If I'm the top wide receiver in the country.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about Aaron Nolan, the quarterback
Oh, yeah,
at
I'm a
Ohio
quarterback,
State as
yeah.
well. What's
Yeah.
your opinion of him?
Aaron know how I feel about him. I mean, he's a great quarterback. Can spin it for sure. Me and him, we just trying to build a number one class. I mean, we got some stuff working for sure. We got some DBs trying to get on board. We need some O-linemen trying to get on board, D-linemen on board. Yeah, so we working behind the scenes right now.
There you have it. The top wide receiver in the country. Going to check out the Florida schools, Josh.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I don't know if I should not be concerned at all or if I should be overly concerned that he's going to go take these visits. But I do like the fact, if you're an Ohio State fan, he's telling and communicating with the Ohio State staff that, hey, I'm going to check out some of these schools. And I guess if you're the number one wide receiver in the country, you can do that.
Well, from one 5-star plus player to another 5-star plus edge, Colin Simmons sat down with him, talked about his recruitment with Texas and LSU and where they stand. Josh, what do you think about this interview?
Oh, you're going to find out who the leaders are at this point. It's only the midway point, so, the leaders don't matter that much. But, hey, it's pretty interesting to hear.
Without further ado, here's Colin Simmons.
Here at the On3 NIL Elite Series, and we are sitting down with 5-star edge Colin Simmons, the number one edge in the country. Colin, you've taken a lot of visits. What has stood out to you so far? What have you seen that you really liked?
Everything, honestly, everything. Every visit I done been on, I liked it. I loved it, honestly.
What are some of the places that stood out to you?
LSU, Miami, Florida, Texas, just a couple of schools out there. Oregon. I feel like Oregon, LSU stood out a lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Say, man, I saw the pictures from the LSU visit. You're on the sideline with Angel Reese. You're with Jamar Chase. I mean,
Joe Burrow.
it was like the red carpet during a spring game. It looked unbelievable. Did that move LSU up to like that top tier for you when it comes to picking schools?
I mean, not necessarily like bringing them people out necessarily moved them up, but like I feel like LSU always, been up there.
A lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of reporters like myself, when it comes to your recruitment, you hear the word Texas, you hear LSU. You didn't hear a lot about the Florida schools until you started making trips there. What was it about the University of Florida and University of Miami that stood out to you?
The University of Florida, honestly, the atmosphere, like the fans and the people there is just DJ Lagway was not lying when he told me like the fan base is like crazy. Like they love the athletes there, bro. And it's just like I love that. I mean, I love being around people that love athletes, like that show love to athletes because that just means that you care. So I mean that, and then Miami, shoot, the environment in Miami, I love it. I mean the landscape, everything, it was just amazing.
Does it hit a little different when you hear it from a guy like a DJ Lagway who's also from Texas and is making the move to the state of Florida?
Oh yeah, for sure. That just speaks a lot. That speaks a lot.
And you mentioned, having it matter to a fan base, both Texas and Texas A&M. I mean, I'm sure, Colin, as you know, it matters to those fan bases. They love their football teams. Where do they stand right now in your recruitment, and what are your thoughts around, potentially getting back there for some visits?
Texas, I'll tell you this, Texas for sure up there. Texas for sure up there. Texas A&M for sure up there too. They'll both be receiving the OV, and just staying in state. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, being close to family. I mean, look, I love it.
Is there any pressure around that, to having to stay, in the Lone Star State? Do you feel pressure around that at all?
Yeah, I do. You know, a lot of people pressure me, you know, people who's friends with my mom and, you know, with the rest of my family, you know, coworkers and all that, you know, they pressure me to stay in state, you know, alums and stuff like that. And, you know.
I know you have a lot of pressure on you. Do you ever think that, hey, maybe if I eliminate some schools and narrow my list, maybe I can get some of these people off me? Do you consider doing that, maybe a top 10, maybe a top 5 before the season starts?
I tell myself I do. I tell myself I want to, you know, I want to go ahead and drop that top 5, top 7 or something like that. But I'd be thinking like I could just go ahead and find my home and just come out with it, just with a commitment. And I feel like I might just do that.
Okay.
What is he like about the Longhorns?
Man, home. I mean, it's home. I mean, my family, people from the DFW that done graduated and that goes there now, you know, Ant Hill, Jonte Cook, Manny, you know, from SOC, and just with me seeing them go up there and doing that they doing as freshmen, it speaks a lot.
Do you have a leader right now? I know it's early. I mean, you've told me you're not going to make a decision until into the fall. So right now, as it stands, do you have a leader?
Texas and LSU head-to-head.
Okay.
It's a fair way to say it. Texas and LSU. You talk about the timeline, talk about the recruitment, the commitment, but we're here at the On3 NIL Elite Series. And for someone like yourself, I mean, 5-star plus player, you turn on the tape, it's evident, dude's a baller. NIL has to be a little bit different for someone like yourself. How have you handled that, and how does that look for you being a player of your stature right now?
Honestly, I like to leave it to my mom a little bit, but I like to hear it myself because, you know, it sounds good. Like I like to hear the money talk, but I like to leave it to my mom and let her, you know, go ahead and handle that business and you know, come back to me and tell me, you know, what sounds best.
Colin Simmons, Josh, Texas and LSU head-to-head for that top spot right now.
I told you. He's got a leader. It's a
leader.
two-headed leader, but it's a leader.
Interesting to say that Texas has, you know, as a state, maybe there's a little bit of pressure to stay home. Interesting to hear. Next, Josh, I want to talk about the top safety in the country, KJ Bolden from the state of Georgia. Thoughts on him as it pertains to his recruitment and what we learned?
A lot of teams in the South recruiting him, but, you know, Ohio State Buckeyes, they're kind of gnawing away at this thing, and I don't know. They just hang around long enough. I could see something crazy happening there.
And one more sneaky school in the SEC that may not be on everybody's radar. Without further ado, here's KJ Bolden.
We are sitting down with 5-star KJ Bolden, the #1 safety in America. KJ, you are about to go take some official visits, a bunch of them in June. What's your mindset going into these?
You know, just I feel like whatever school is the best fit, you know, just choose the best school for sure, and then, you know, just stay humble, stay positive, and, you know, like, just ready for that time to commit.
You're going to have some fun, too, on these visits, right?
Oh, definitely. I can't wait to go swim, fishing, all type of stuff the school's got ready for us. I can't wait.
It'll be good. And speaking of official visits, you're headed to Clemson from here. It'll be the 6th time you visited the Tigers.
Yes, sir.
What are you hoping to learn from that visit?
You know, I just definitely want to get to know the team more, get to learn the environment more, get to sit down with more of the coaches, you know, talk business, you know, talk about the scheme, you know, how I could come in early and make an impact, help the team out, and just stuff like that. You know, just get to know Coach Dabo more. Stuff.
Looking at the schools in your recruitment, I see a lot of them are in the South, except Ohio State. You know, they're kind of the outlier out there. So where do they stand in your recruitment right now as we head into the summer?
Oh, Ohio State definitely stands up there for sure. You know, my cousin, the safety coach, Coach Eliano, he's the safety coach. So, like, I'll be playing for my cousin. So that would definitely be, like, one of the, like, the biggest things I feel like ever. Like, to play for your family member next level. And then, you know, Ohio State, they got a great branding, like, great marketing up there. And, like, all the people down there are great. And it's like a family culture for sure.
Now, the in-state school you're going to visit officially, Georgia Bulldogs. We were talking before we even got on the air. You're like, man, Georgia's essentially like less than an hour from you, from where you are right now. You visited. It'll be the 14th time you visited there. What is?
That's crazy.
It's a lot of visits, man. That's what I said. I was like,
crazy.
man, I go see something 14 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I might know all I need to know.
Yeah.
What is the goal for that official visit? What do you want to come away with from the Georgia official visit?
You know, I just want to come up with a plan for me. You know, I want a 3-year plan for sure. You know, 40 years is not bad, but I definitely want a 3-year plan. So I definitely want to I'll sit down with Coach Kirby, announce a 3-year plan, and just talk about like the other schools, like playing time, NIL, the schemes like that, and like just the people I'm gonna be around. Like you don't want to be around like people full of who always gets in trouble. You don't want to always be around the wrong crowd. So definitely want to know who I'm gonna be around for sure when I'm up there.
You got a lot of guys at this event that are either Bulldog targets or Bulldog commits.
Yeah.
Who's recruiting you the hardest here, man?
Definitely Dylan Raiola. Yeah, I feel like Dylan Raiola, like he calls me more than the coaches sometimes. Like, yeah, he definitely owing me for sure. So like, he said he wanted me to go up for the OV with him this weekend, but I got to go to Clemson. But that's definitely my guy. He always texts me every day. He texts me probably right now about Georgia. We was just talking about it, so he's definitely crazy about Georgia.
Did you know that he was going to commit to Georgia, or when he announced, were you just like, oh wow?
I wouldn't even say here a lot of y'all. I definitely knew he was going to Georgia, but I just didn't say nothing. But he definitely had told me like a week before. So that was definitely big news. It caught everybody else off guard, but I kind of knew, so it was like something new.
He was recruiting you to Georgia before he was even a Georgia commitment.
He was recruiting me like I said when everybody like crystal balled him to USC. That's when he told me like, oh nah, like I'm not going there. I'm going to Georgia. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. Wow. Definitely started recruiting me. So he's been recruiting me for a little minute now. Yeah, that's crazy.
Doing his best, man.
Now
also going to visit Auburn. Auburn's getting an official visit. So Auburn, that staff's been there for such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. How have they jumped into your recruitment with that staff being there? So
Coach Freeze, I had counted Auburn out early on, but he never stopped recruiting me. When he got there, like as soon as he got there, he came to my school and he was talking to one of my teammates, and he had made sure he pulled me to the side, like, I want you bad, like I want you to get up there. So when I got up there, like the family environment up there, and like how everybody treated each other, and like how everybody was just so nice to each other, I definitely wouldn't mind being a part of that. And, Coach Freeze, he just told me like, just make sure I get the last official visit. He like, as long as I get the last official visit, he like, we're gonna shock the world for sure. So I just can't wait to see what he got in storage.
KJ, you've been on the national scene for some time now. You're the #1 safety in America. This process isn't new to you. Do you ever feel like, man, I might just want to end it soon? Or do you think that you're going to take all these officials into the fall?
I'm definitely going to totally take all my officials. It been time, though. Like, I've been wanting to commit already. Like, it been in my head. I wanted to go somewhere. But I had to, like, calm down, slow the process down. My parents told me, calm down, just take it day by day. So I'm definitely want to be committed by, like, September or before the season so I could just focus on the senior season and go get the ring.
So you do think you want to do that before your senior year? Yeah. Even though you have official visits into the fall, you'll make your decision before the –
Before or after the Auburn official. That's my last one.
Okay. So what plays into this decision? What are you looking for?
A school that could just set me up for life after football. So say you don't go pro, hopefully I go pro, but say I don't go pro, I could always come back to that school, always get a job. They could always set me up for job opportunities or even hire me as a coach or something like that. So definitely looking toward that school. Like I said, playing time, schemes, the people I'm going to be around, the environment. Is it a great environment? Is it like everybody stays in trouble? Is it one of those type of environments? That definitely played a huge role for sure. And I just definitely say like the coaches, like how me and the coaches bond are, like how close am I with the coaches? I definitely play a big role.
Coach KJ coming soon. You heard it here first.
Heard it.
Any other schools that you're wanting to maybe get a visit to before you finish up this process?
I definitely other than my officials, I definitely want to probably go like Florida State, and I like Oregon. I want to go up to Oregon. I feel like that'd be cool. I like the coaches up there for sure.
All right, let's switch it up a little bit. Talk NIL. How much does NIL factor into your recruitment?
It don't really factor a lot because, like, once you get to college, like, if you play good, you're going to get paid regardless of, like, the situation. So I feel like, and then if you go on a 3-year plan to get to the league, it's right down the corner. So all you got to do is just wait for 3 years and you'll get, like, that major contract. But it definitely played like a role. Like, you don't want to go to college for, like, nothing, though, for sure.
Well, you said it. Yeah. You said it. You said, if I go to college and play well, I'll get paid. Yeah. How do you know that's going to happen? Do you ask these schools about it? Yeah,
you really talk to the players, and they just tell you, like, I know Malachi starts from Georgia. The first year, he didn't really get a lot of the money. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, well, I went out there and made all them plays, freshman All-American. Now he's probably making, like, 6 figures, something like that. You feel me? So, like, that definitely, like, you feel me? It don't really play a lot of role. Like, as long as you go out there and do the right thing and make them plays that the plays that you are supposed to make, you'll get paid for sure.
What's one thing that people maybe don't know about NIL that you think they should know?
Some of the money sometimes the schools offer you, like, don't be true. Like, they could, like, tell you, oh, I'm going to give you $15 million, some $20 million, and then like you get up there and they're not giving you all the money, and now you be like wanting to leave and want to transfer. So like, I definitely heard one of those stories before.
What recruits in this class do you think are six-figure recruits?
Definitely all my top 5 quarterbacks for sure. I feel like they're gonna get a lot of money. Who else? Edric for sure. They better pay Edric. Edric's nice. Colin Simmons, Jeremiah Smith, them type of guys. They're definitely 6-figure guys. My boy right here, Bakwe, Roll Tide. He definitely one of the top guys that should get paid a lot.
There it is, man.
KJ Bolden, #1 safety in America. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Yes, sir. No, anytime.
Josh, KJ Bolden, having been to Georgia 13, now going on 14 times.
Yeah.
Does that mean something?
It means something to me. I know KJ Bolden kind of downplayed it in that interview that, like, oh, he was kind of surprised that he's been there that many times. But you know what I say, JD? Follow the visits.
Follow the visits, man. Men lie, women lie.
The visits don't.
Visits don't lie. So let's stay in the state of Georgia. Sammy Brown, linebacker, 5-star kid, best mold in the country.
Yeah, 5-star mullet.
5-star mullet. A lot of schools in the mix for him, from Oklahoma to Clemson to Georgia. Just took an official to Tennessee.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you about Sammy Brown?
I think just where he's at in the process. We sit down with a lot of top prospects, and you can tell some of the ones that are still having fun and just taking it all in still, and then the ones that are kind of getting down to it. And you could just hear by his tone that I think he's getting down to it.
Let's get down to it right now. Here's Sammy Brown.
We are sitting down with 5-star linebacker Sammy Brown. Sammy, you just came off a visit to Tennessee, like literally just off your official visit to Tennessee. How was it? Why did you decide to take it?
I think Tennessee is doing a great job of building that culture, and they've done a great job of turning that program around, and really it's going to be a powerhouse program in the next couple of years. And I think that Coach Heupel's done a great job. Coach BJ's done a great job on defense, and I just think that they're going to continue to get better and continue to grow, and eventually it's going to be a really shutdown defense.
You got an official visit on the books to Georgia. You're going back to Athens for the 10th time, my man. What is it that you're wanting to learn or nail down? What's that visit about for you when you're going back to Athens here?
I think the biggest thing about Georgia and some of the other schools too is just verifying what I already know, and really being able to sit down with some of the coaches and just verify what I know and just continue to build relationships with the coaches. I've got a really good relationship with Coach Schumann just because of how many times I've been there. But, just really being able to sit down with him and, talk some ball and talk some fishing or anything else like that. But it's just about verifying relationships and verifying what I already know.
Is that talking through scheme as well?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about relationships, one of the most eccentric coaches in college football is Dabo Swinney. You're about to take an official visit there. What's your relationship with Coach Dabo and the rest of his staff?
I've got a really good relationship with them too. I'd say it's pretty similar to the coaches at Georgia. They've just done a great job of recruiting me. I was the first offer in the 2024 class, so they've done a great job of recruiting me. And that official is about just verifying relationships and really verifying what I already know about Clemson. They've got a great culture, and they do things the right way on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom. They do everything the right way.
Weight room's got to be a factor for you now, man. Like, we've all seen the clip. It hurt my knees watching you squat 545 4 times. I think I was sore after watching that, and I was like, golly, man. But you're going to take a visit to Oklahoma as well. What are those conversations like with Brent Venables?
Coach Venables is the head coach, the defensive coordinator, and the linebackers coach. So they've got a lot of great linebacker coaches out there. Coach Roof is solid, and then they just got James Skalski, too, who is a great linebacker at Clemson. So, you've got 3 people out there that are just outstanding linebackers and linebacker coaches. So I think that's a very linebacker-minded defense, and I think that they're just going to continue to get better.
How much does location factor into your recruitment? Is there a pressure to stay in-state?
No, I don't think so at all. I think, with the way flights are now, you can get on a plane and be in Oklahoma in an hour and a half. So I don't think that distance really plays a role at all.
How close are you to making a decision once you finish the official visits? Is there a date in mind for you?
So we get that last week in June and the first week in July off for football. So I'm really going to take those 2 weeks and sit down and really think about it. And when I'm come to a decision in those 2 weeks, that's when I'm going to commit. I don't really have a set time. It's just whenever I'm at peace about it.
Who's your support staff? Who helps you through this process?
I would say the biggest is my parents. My parents, they go on all the visits with me, and I think that they definitely are
are the best at helping me make a decision and think about my decision. And I mean, we sit down every Sunday and talk about the visits, and especially with these officials, we're going to sit down and talk about them and what we like, what we don't like about schools. So they've definitely supported me through this whole process.
When it comes to NIL, the mullet's got to be a factor, man.
Oh,
it has
man.
to be a factor. Are schools talking about that? Maybe not the schools, but the people that are involved with NIL. Is that a conversation piece at all?
We had a conversation with Tennessee this weekend about it, but that's one of the first that we've had. So I'm assuming that on the officials they'll kind of talk about it, but I haven't really mentioned it to any of the colleges just because that's nothing that I'm really worried about. And, you know, I want to go to college to play football, and NIL is just a byproduct of that.
Josh, was it just me? The mullet was mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Like, I heard what he said, but I had to keep, like, snapping back and say, okay, he's talking about Clemson now. He's talking about Georgia now because the mullet had my attention.
Yeah, he might not sign an NIL deal, but that mullet will.
I think Pete Nakos said Head and Shoulders is, like, the ideal NIL deal for him. Script writes itself. In all seriousness, no. I mean, Georgia, Clemson, those two clearly going at it for Sammy Brown.
I think ultimately, you know, he's looking at all his options, but I think it's going to come down to those two programs.
Absolutely. Well, with Sammy Brown playing on the defensive side of the football, let's get back to the offensive side of things. Edric Gibson, stud running back from IMG Academy. What'd you think about this conversation?
Oh, man, I've been watching Edric Gibson for a while, one of the best players in the state of Florida. And, you know, I liked his candor. He's very open, just taking the process as it goes step by step. But I think there might be a favorite in there.
Yeah, very transparent conversation from Edric Gibson. Here's Edric Gibson.
We are here at the On3 NIL Elite Series, sitting down with five-star running back Edric Gibson of IMG Academy. Edric, you've taken a lot of visits so far. You've been making your way throughout the country during the spring. What visits stood out to you?
It got to be Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Miami, and I said them all.
What was it about those trips that made it stand out?
Everything is genuine love. I feel one with the team when I go there. All the players love me, you know. They take me in like a little brother and just tell me the in and outs of the campus and stuff.
And Texas has produced some big-time running backs.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bijan Robinson, top 10 pick in last year's draft.
Yep.
You got an official visit, locked in for June with the Longhorns. What are you hoping to learn about Texas on that visit?
I pretty much know everything I need to know. Well, you always can learn something new, you know. And my family going to be with me, so I just want to show them a good time and get them around a coaching staff and to show them, like, where I'm going to be, and they don't have to be worried about me when I'm there, you know. So that's all I want to learn.
Edric, you've kind of had an up-and-down relationship with the Florida Gators. At one time, you were committed to them under Dan Mullen. Then you decommitted. But since then, you know, you've returned and you've gotten to know the staff under Billy Napier. How do the Gators factor into your recruitment right now?
You know, I stay in touch with them. I'm always going to have that special key. They always going to have that special key in my heart because it's my hometown, you know. I grew up wanting to go there. Coach Yulu, he's a great coach. You know, he pours into me, tell me the in and out on campus, and we just talk about life, you know.
You locked in a visit with Georgia as well. Got that one coming up here pretty soon. What was the conversation like with that staff to make you feel comfortable enough to say, okay, you know what, I do want to officially visit Georgia?
Just their history, you know, they just won 2 championships back-to-back. My 2 of my players just went there just to chop it up with them and see how good they're doing to go into a big program like them and see how much they've developed just by the spring. You can just tell by their bodies and the way they talk that they've developed pretty well, you know.
Edric, last year Texas went into the state of Florida and landed the #1 running back in Orlando, Cedric Baxter Jr. How does that factor into your recruitment?
It goes well with my recruitment, you know. Once he got there, I just thought about an older brother just going there to get me better. You know, when I get there, I can have somebody to look up to make me better, you know. Iron sharpen iron, you know.
And Coach Deshard Choice, obviously the RB coach at Texas. What's the conversations like with him? How frequently is he hitting you up?
Me and Coach Choice have a good relationship, you know. We hit each other up like every 2 days, you know, keep in contact.
Miami seems like they've been surging in your recruitment after 2 spring visits to Coral Gables. What did the Canes do to kind of get a foot in the door and get your recruitment going with them?
These past 2 visits, how they showing me the ins and out and what they're gonna do to change the program around. And my brothers that just went there, Francis, Miguel, Riley, and Jaden Wayne just got there, and to see how they're doing, the progress they're making. My dog Francis potentially having a starting spot there, so just to see that make me like let me go there,
Yeah,
It's a good dude to run behind.
Yeah,
Tell you
for
that.
sure,
That's a big
for
boy. Josh, it really seems like there's a ton of buzz around the Longhorns for Jared Gibson.
Yeah, that iron sharpens iron comment led me in that direction. I think if there's a team I would watch right now, maybe the Miami Hurricanes. They were able to get him on campus recently, and they're going to get him back for an official. But right now, I'm leaning toward Texas, and I think Jarek is as well.
Well, we got to talk about the number 1 player in the country. Dylan Stewart, the edge out of Washington, D.C. What stuck out to you about this conversation with him?
That he's open to moving his timeline. He had told Chad Simmons about a week ago that he wanted to get something done before the season starts, but now it seems like it might keep going.
The top player in the country. Here's our conversation with Dylan Stewart.
The On3 number 1 overall player out of Washington, D.C., Dylan Stewart. Welcome. You are fresh off an unofficial visit to Tennessee, so I want to know about that first. What did you learn? How was your visit to Knoxville?
My visit was good. They made a good impression for my first visit, so that was good.
What was it like meeting with Josh Heupel and the coaching staff there?
I had a good time. The players were excited to get back because I was in a team meeting, so it was a good time.
What's one thing you learned about Tennessee on that trip?
One thing I learned.
Rocky Top. I mean, that's maybe a couple visits. You got to
learn
get
Rocky
the belt
Top?
to get that.
That I learned Rocky Top. I want to say I learned Rocky Top. I learned a lot about the stuff I need, like for my position, like the defensive scheme, stuff like that.
Because if you learned Rocky Top, we were going to sing it, but maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe not this time.
Maybe not this time. Don't worry,
a
not
future
this
interview.
time.
Dylan, what is the timeline for you right now? I know before you were eyeing maybe trying to get it done before your senior season. Where are you right now in terms of making a decision?
I'm looking to drag it out, raise my stock. So that's really.
What do you mean raise your stock?
Like you know how people commit, then they just forget about you. Like it's just over with. But I want to just keep it going.
Okay. One of the most recent visits you set was to Miami. You took a recent visit there, and they kind of came on strong. So what's your relationship with the coaching staff at Miami, and what do you like about them?
We have a good relationship. They've been recruiting me hard for a minute now. Once I got back, because that was my second time visiting, so they made a good impression, enough for me to do it officially.
Lock in an official.
Another place you're going to visit officially. Once you visit South Carolina officially, that'll be the 7th visit down to Columbia, man. Where do they sit right now in your recruitment?
They sit high.
Yeah?
They sit high.
I mean, Nicholas Harbor, a guy from your area, he made national headlines when he decided to sign with Coach Beamer and the Gamecocks. Is that a guy you talk to at all? Is that someone you've kind of talked through this process with at all?
Nah, we talked a little bit here and there. When I go visit, he'll be up there. So.
What does he say?
What did he say to me?
Yeah.
No, he just said, let's go. Come be a part of something great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Alabama and the coaching staff there, your relationship with Alabama. What's going on?
What's going on in Alabama? It's been Coach Coleman hustling. Yeah, we've been talking. It's been cool. It hasn't really been too much.
Okay, what coaching staff would you say I have the best relationship with?
Best relationship with coaching staff. I would say South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yeah. Okay.
Ohio State's going to get an official visit mid-June. Anybody that turned on tape, watched you play ball, you're a bad man off the edge. Now, Larry Johnson coached a lot of bad men off the edge in the collegiate level. What's the relationship like with him, and what are those conversations like around Ohio State?
He has a plan for me. So he has a plan, and he has passion for the game. So He has a lot of passion, and he shows like he tells me like he wants to coach me like very bad. So that says a lot.
Another coach I wanted to ask you about, what's it like meeting Jim Harbaugh? Such a great personality, such an eccentric person. Tell me about Michigan's head coach.
Jim Harbaugh, he's cool. Like he's different.
He's different.
He's different. Yeah, he's cool.
What was his pitch to you when you were on campus?
His pitch, it wasn't really a pitch. Like we was just talking, like a regular conversation. Like, we just talked about things.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it. Loves khakis. Loves wearing the khakis. Now, you got Georgia for the first official visit. Back-to-back national champs. Kirby Smart's running that thing. It's a well-oiled machine. What are you hoping to learn about the Bulldogs during that visit?
I mean, I've been there like I think I've been there 4 times. It's not really about learning at this point. I'm just there to keep building on a relationship. Yeah. To take on to me committing. So.
Have they talked to you about their plan for you and how maybe you fit with all the, stud defensive linemen they've turned out in the NFL here?
Yeah, they every time I go down there, they tell me I fit in well with the edge outside linebacker position. So
awesome.
All these visits, you're taking all these trips all across the country. What are you looking for when you arrive on a campus? Like,
I'm looking for good people. That's my first thing. Good people, good fans. A good defensive scheme. I think I fit in. They think I fit in, and I would say players that like the program.
right.
Josh, sticking with following the visits, Dylan Stewart been to South Carolina the most times. That recruitment's going to wear on a little bit longer. Does it feel like to you the longer this thing goes, maybe the stronger South Carolina gets? They landed Nicholas Harbor on the second signing day last year.
Yeah, and because of that, because of the way South Carolina finished, I think South Carolina is a legitimate threat to land him. And I know every time we talk about him on the Inside Scoop, everybody gets in the comments on YouTube and says, South Carolina, no way. South Carolina, yes way.
Shane Beamer, man.
Very possible.
The culture, like he says, is on fire in Columbia. Well, we had another 5-star kind of player, 5-star wide receiver, Mike Matthews, join the show. You actually put in a pick for him after we got through with this interview. I don't want to spoil that, but what are your thoughts on Mike Matthews and where his recruitment stands?
One of the funnest interviews we've done. I just thought his energy was great. I think he's happy to be here. I think he's enjoying the process, and that's just great to see.
Very open with us, very open throughout this conversation. Here's Mike Matthews.
Here at the On3 NIL Elite Series, sitting down with 5-star wide receiver Mike Matthews. Mike, you are about to embark on a whole month of official visits. Up first, though, Clemson. What are you looking forward to go check out the Tigers?
I'm looking forward to, just a great culture. I already know what I'm getting to with Clemson. It's been a great school for me. I've been real interested ever since they first offered me, so I'm just real excited to be there.
Now, we'll go from one shade of orange to the other.
Yeah.
We are in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee's got an official visit locked in with you. What do you like about the Vols? What do you want to learn about Tennessee during that visit?
I'll probably say what I like best about the Vols is probably Coach Hype and Coach Pope. I have a good relationship with both of them. And, they're both really true competitors, and I really enjoy that because, that's how I am. I always want to win. So I feel like that made our relationship really good.
Now, I see you got a visit set to USC. Are you open to a team on the West Coast, or is location a big factor for you?
I'm open to a team on the West Coast.
Yeah? What is it about USC that you like?
I would probably say, it's a little different. It's across the country, but, I like different. Different is a little. It could be good. So I enjoyed Cali. I was there for a visit. I want to say last July, and I really enjoyed it. I got to talk to Coach Lincoln Riley and Coach Howard, and I had a really good talk with them. So I feel like it would be a good fit for me.
So different palm trees. You got the beach. I don't have a horse in the race here, but that's a nice kind of different to be dealing with here, brother. When it comes to the rest of your recruitment, any other visits you want to get on the books, or anything maybe that's not set yet that you're hoping to make soon?
It's some that are like 50-50, but really right now it's really just Alabama trying to fit that in there. But after this month, I'll really have a true decision on what I like, and maybe if I'm not ready, I could have some more set in fall. So.
One of the official visits that we didn't talk about yet is to the University of Georgia. It's coming up in about 2 weeks. That's going to be a big one. Since you set that up, Dylan Raiola, the #1 quarterback in America, committed to the Bulldogs. Has he reached out to you, and does that factor into your decision at all?
Yeah, he reached out to me, and we talked a little bit. But yeah, of course that makes my decision. He's a great quarterback. Just to have somebody to be able to sling me the ball, and knowing that they're able to perform just like me, it's a really big factor.
That's a huge factor. And we talk a lot about like peer-to-peer recruiting. Is he the guy that's recruiting you the hardest at any of these schools, or who's the guy that you're hearing from the most that's committed to another school right now?
I would probably say Dylan. Yeah, I talk to Dylan pretty much almost every day. That's my boy. So it's probably him. Yeah.
Big deal.
All right. Want to talk a little NIL since we're here. How much does NIL factor into your recruitment?
Honestly, I'm not really concerned about NIL like that. I mean, I know it's coming, but I'm really concerned, playing football and be able to get a degree, go to school for free. That's pretty much the biggest part for me. But I know NILs come with it too, so it's just a plus.
Best of both worlds. What's the biggest lie being told right now about NIL?
I'll probably say for me, people think that since I have a large NIL value, they think I'm able to get all that money right now. That's not really the case. I kind of do gotta wait because I'm pretty sure it's illegal in Georgia. So I kind of do gotta wait for my time. So people think I have all the money and all that stuff. I don't got it.
NIL's only about 2 years old at this point. Any crazy stories that you've been a part of, your friends have been a part of, or that you've heard of?
I've heard of some schools offering crazy amount of money, like maybe some millions just to go there, and that's kind of crazy because that could really change the whole spectrum because a person could like this school, but this school offers more money, so they might just flip just because of the money wise. So
have you seen that happen?
Yeah, I've seen it happen, but everybody's different though. Yeah. I wouldn't say I would do that, but everybody got their own decision in life.
All right, Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver, hanging out with us here at the NIL Elite Series. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Can't help but get the feeling, Josh. Mike Matthews, just feel like I'm going to see him in some shade of orange at the next level, whether it's Clemson, whether it's Tennessee. What are your thoughts on that?
I think right now the orange I would put him in is Tennessee. And I put in a recruiting prediction machine pick for the Vols after talking with Mike, but he didn't tip his hand saying that he's going to go there. I, like you, I just kind of got that feeling from it, and now the Vols are trending on the recruiting prediction machine.
Fun offense to play in if you're a wide receiver. Tons of success, obviously, last season in Josh Heupel's offense. Jalen Hyatt, Blitnikoff Award winner. So Mike Matthews, obviously a target for Tennessee. Another target for Tennessee at the wide receiver position, Ryan Wingo from St. Louis, Missouri. Your thoughts on Ryan Wingo, Josh?
Hey, this is the Nico effect. Why else would all these 5-star wide receivers be interested in Tennessee right now? It's because they're producing. And, Ryan Wingo, very open. Could you imagine Tennessee pulls in 2 5-star wide receivers this cycle?
Just the rich getting richer.
It could happen.
Just the rich getting richer. Here's Ryan Wingo.
We are here at the On3 NIL Elite Series, and we got 5-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo out of St. Louis, Missouri. Ryan, welcome. You're fresh off of your visit to Tennessee. Literally just got out of the car from Knoxville. Tell me a little bit about your trip and what you learned about the Tennessee program.
Yeah, for sure. The Tennessee trip, it was a lot of one-on-one time because it really wasn't like a big junior day or nothing like that. So I got to spend a lot of time with Coach Pope, a lot of time with Coach Heupel. And Coach Hazel, had a few meetings, watching film and stuff like that. So it was a great visit.
Another spot you've been to, Miami, taking a few unofficial visits. What's the feel around Miami for you, and is that somewhere you think you go back to and officially visit, or what's the future there with the Canes?
Yeah, for sure. Coach Beard, I think he put a big impact on me just from the start. As soon as he got there, he hit me up. We was on the phone. Because he not one of those people that call you every day. He going to call you, and we're going to be on the phone for like an hour. So, but I like it a lot, though. And then I for sure probably get up there again this season, try to catch a game.
Official visit season starts for you. You're heading to Georgia. Georgia landed a 5-star quarterback in Dylan Raiola just recently. Has he reached out to you at all? Has he been doing a little recruiting?
Yeah, for sure. Dylan been recruiting me since he was committed to Ohio State. So, he, like I said, me and him, we kind of knew each other for, I think, a year or two now. And then he obviously been recruiting me ever since. I kind of had the inside scoop where he was going before he went there. So, it was pretty cool.
Up.
Yes, sir. So, yeah.
What's his pitch to you?
Really just because I don't think they had a 5-star receiver in a while. So, I think that's like his biggest pitch. He come be a 5-star receiver, come kind of change that narrative of they don't throw the balls type of thing. So, that's probably his biggest pitch.
Not just one, but 2 stud quarterbacks in that class. How big a deal is that for you to have a big-time quarterback committed in your class?
It's a very big thing because, I mean, you need somebody to throw you the ball because you got to depend on somebody to throw you the ball. So you probably want the best in the country to do that.
What's your thought process right now with where your official visits line up and when you want to make a decision?
I probably will wait out to early signing day just because I got like a lot of officials kind of make sure I weigh my options out, make sure I pick the right spot. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
The spot with the quarterback, though, Texas. I mean, Texas, you're going to visit there June 16th. What are the conversations like for you right now with Coach Sarkisian and the rest of that staff?
Matter of fact, he just texted me, but I think he's just a great dude. You know, he got the offensive mind, and you know, again, you want you a good quarterback that has got Arch Manning in the class before me, and then just his offensive mind. I think he was at Bama with all them good receivers, and they all kind of had productive seasons. So I think when you just kind of look back at his history, you see that as pretty good for me. That's it.
Ryan, you made it out to Boulder, Colorado. You got to check out what's going on with Coach Prime and everything he's got going out there. Do you think that you'll take an official visit, and how much have you guys communicated since that visit?
Yeah, we communicated a lot, and it's funny because they take me too. But I'll probably for sure try to get up there for OV this year. Try to get a game, probably TCU maybe. Okay. That'll probably be one of the games or another one that's at home. But I think they communication real well up there. Coach Barlone, and then I have to FaceTime Coach like Sanders sometimes, stuff
What's
like that.
What's it like talking to Coach Sanders?
Depending on how the conversation going, I remember like when I was on the phone, I think the first time he like made fun of my locker room because it was old. But you know, he a pretty cool dude. And then you know he's like one of the best players to ever touch a football. Right. So it's like you kind of looks to a celebrity, but he also a coach. So it's kind of weird, but he's pretty cool dude. Yes, sir. I
guess all the locker rooms he's been in, like he could probably be okay making fun of a few locker rooms now and then. Any other trips that you got lined up? Any other official visits that you haven't yet set that you're going to set?
I'm not sure yet. I for sure I'll get to Tennessee for an official visit. I'm not sure what game. Oh wait, I'm lying. I think Tennessee. I'll do Georgia or South Carolina. Pick one of those games. I think those two is what I like got up in the air.
Since you're making a late decision, how do you kind of remember these visits in June when you get to November, December? Are you still gonna remember these visits?
For sure, I remember all the visits. Especially if it's like a good time. I'm surrounded by good people. You always remember good people. So I think I'll be fine to kind of wait out my decision. I'll for sure remember everything. So yes, sir.
A lot of schools in the mix for Ryan Wingo. We talked about it, obviously, with him in that interview. Mm-hmm. Miami's in the mix. Tennessee's in the mix. Josh, where does Miami sit for him in your mind after hearing that conversation?
After talking to him, I think they're surging in his recruitment. He was there earlier this month, about 3 weeks ago, and he's going to take an official visit most likely. And, Tennessee, Georgia, but I think Miami's got to be mentioned up there right with those two other programs.
So, Josh, we've spent a lot of time in the South throughout this show right now. What do you say we go jump on a jet, find our way out to the West Coast? What do you say, like Orange County, California, Santa Ana specifically?
If it's a number one player at their position, let's go.
Awesome. Well, it's the number one tackle at the position. That's Brandon Baker out of Modern Day High School. This was a great conversation with him.
Yeah, he seems to have a pretty good grip on his recruitment, the process. I think he's going to be highly successful at whatever Brandon Baker chooses to do.
He seemed to have an interesting comment about his timeline. So without further ado, here's Brandon Baker.
Brandon Baker out of California. Brandon, welcome to Nashville.
Yes, sir.
And want to talk to you a little bit about your recruitment. You've been on some visits. What has stood out the most so far throughout your trips in the spring?
Yeah, really just being able to get down and get a feel for the environments of these schools and whatnot. I had a pretty busy spring, honestly. I visited about 6, 7 schools. So it's definitely been really busy just being able to, kind of get a feel for the staff, for the offensive line room, and really the school as a whole. So, really.
Of any of those, was there 1 or 2 visits that stood out to you?
I would say at the moment, Oregon, my most recent Oregon visit. That was the first Oregon visit that I've had. As far as the recruitment process goes, where it's kind of been low-key. For the most part, everything else has been a game, a spring game, an event going on. So really just being able to kind of get down there, spend some time with the coaching staff, and really get a feel for how they prioritize me. It's definitely stood out to me a lot. And I would say a second would be Texas. I really like Texas as well. Coach Flood and the offensive line room that he's building is definitely something cool to see and kind of see how that plays out. Oregon and Texas both have offensive tackles at the moment that were, 5-star offensive tackles come out of high school, class of 2022. So being able to see what they do this season will be a really big thing to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, cut you off there, bro.
No worries.
Now, USC's gotten quite a few visits from you as well. Right. Now, there's that pipeline that people think about with Leinart and Barkley from modern day to USC. Right. How does USC factor into your recruitment?
Yeah, I would say it's really just kind of playing it by day, honestly. I know it kind of changes, especially with, the portal going on at the moment. Really just communicating with the USC staff every day and being able to see how they prioritize me as well. I know I haven't been able to get down in some time, so definitely have to change that, being able to get down and kind of see what they're doing down there sometime in the June. That's kind of what we've been planning, so really just go from there.
And Lincoln Riley loves some quarterbacks, man. They recruit the quarterback position well.
No doubt.
Is that a big deal for you when you're picking a school?
Yeah, I would say it definitely plays a factor. Like Dylan Raiola, he just committed to Georgia. And when he was at Ohio State, I was like, why not Ohio State? But, he decommitted to Georgia now, so, why not Georgia? They're at the moment number one class of the 2024 class, and having a 5-star quarterback, is definitely a no-brainer to be a part of.
Did you lock in that official visit to Georgia? Because right now you have 2 official visits, that one to Ohio State, where Dylan Raiola used to be committed to, and now one to Georgia, where he is committed to.
Right.
Did you know that Dylan was going to commit to Georgia before you locked that official in?
No, I didn't. Not at that time. I had kind of locked in the Georgia visit about a month ago, and kind of heard the word from Dylan, he's kind of headed towards Georgia. And, just being able to see how it kind of unfolded is definitely something cool to see. Over, 2-3 million views on Twitter, that's like something crazy. During the weekdays, I don't have social media downloaded, so I just, for the most part, check it. And being able to see that, I didn't have any knowledge previously to him posting it. And seeing what it did, that was just crazy to see. About 1 million views in about a couple hours, so that was crazy. Broke the internet.
Is he actively recruiting you to Georgia at this moment?
Yeah, I would say for sure.
What's his pitch to you?
Why not be a part of a back-to-back championship-winning team and, just continue building that, really, yeah.
What do you like about Georgia? Because being here is kind of like its own recruitment in itself. A lot of guys that are committed to Georgia are at this event. Right. What is it about Georgia that's intriguing to you?
Yeah, I would say really just, the way they work, the way Kirby Smart coaches, definitely something different. He's very intense, on the field when it comes to, meetings and whatnot, but being able to sit down and talk to him, he's really a reasonable person, somebody you're able to sit down and talk to. So just really seeing how he's able to turn on and off that switch, and really the offensive line room, definitely one of the most laid-back rooms I've seen, comfortable. You guys are able to joke and laugh and whatnot. Coach Sorrells and Coach Manray, great people. So I would say so far that really stuck out to me, just the offensive line room and that environment.
Have you set up an official to Oregon yet?
I'm not yet, working on it, looking towards June 16th possibly.
What is it about Dan Lanning and the job that he's done at Oregon to get you out there so many times? I think this is going to be your 7th visit to Oregon.
Right, yeah. I've been there quite a few times, not going to lie. I would say really just getting a feel for it, really, with this new staff, being able to see how that kind of went during the season. Unfortunately, they lost the last season game to Oregon State. Had a rough game to Washington, I believe. And so really just being able to see kind of how it's gelling together, really. Coach Lanning brought this analogy to me, it's like coming to a house with, groceries that you didn't buy and being able to cook with them. So, that's definitely a real cool analogy to see, and, being able to see what he did with that 10-2 season and really just getting to see this previous visit, how it's really gelling together, how he's really focused and really determined to, build the program up.
Dan Lanning knows how to cook. Knows how to cook with some other groceries, man. What is the timeline for you when it comes to making a decision? Do you want to get it done before your senior season? You're going to let it play out closer to signing day? What's the feeling for you?
Yeah, so originally I was thinking December. Wanted to kind of just wait it out till then, but the way things are looking, possibly sooner rather than later, but haven't really got nothing set in stone at the moment.
Is there a team out there right now that you are highly interested in that people don't talk about enough when it comes to your recruitment? Is there like a dark horse in your recruitment right now?
Right, I would say FSU. I really like FSU a lot. Tennessee's in the mix as well. I would say really those two schools.
What is it about FSU and Coach Alex Atkins there? What's your relationship like with him?
Yeah, that guy, he's real blunt about things, straight to the point. And, we were just texting the other day. I think I had found his TikTok or something like that, sent it to him, sent, a couple heart emojis, telling him, how funny it is, just joking with him. And he sent me a TikTok right back, kind of sent me a laughing emoji. So, being able to have that relationship with, offensive line coach is really something cool, Unfortunately, when I visited down there, he wasn't there, but that didn't change anything, honestly. They kind of made everything short and sweet, told me what it was, and they weren't trying to sell anything. So, being able to get down one more time possibly and being able to watch how he works. A lot of the guys told me that, he's a hard worker, off the field, he may joke around with you like that, but on the field, he's on you. He's on you, cussing, whatnot, saying all kinds of things. But that's part of it. So
absolutely.
And speaking of a coach that's to the point, Matt Rule at Nebraska. What's the situation like for you when it comes to the Cornhuskers? Because I know you got out there, and that's a fan base that they love them from college football. What was that like?
Yeah, definitely something I didn't expect. Honestly, the fan base is amazing. The coaching staff is amazing. Really, they're all really gelling together. They've been together for about 6 months now. Coach Rule, it kind of starts, from the top down, and being able to, I believe it's, about 20 plus of his players that he's coached before, all on that staff. So being able to see that and how he gives love back to, the players. And now it's not just, players now, but it's a family. That's what he really prioritized to me, and being able to build, the Nebraska program from the ground up back to where it once was would definitely be something.
Where are they in your recruitment?
Yeah, I would say top 10 for sure, no doubt, no question.
Josh Brandon Baker, extremely impressive with both how he carries himself and then just physically. I mean, super physically imposing character.
Absolutely, just a mountain of an offensive tackle, and you can see why he's the #1 tackle in America. Now, when it came to his recruitment, though, I'm a little surprised to hear USC doesn't have as much traction as I expected, while Oregon, who he's visited 6 times, is the RPM leader. And I was like, in the end, I think USC is going to make a push. But right now, I think Oregon's kind of running away with this one.
His sleeper team surprised you at all?
Florida State, yeah. Now, I know he has a great relationship with Alex Atkins, but when push comes to shove, I find it hard for him to go 3,000 miles away from home when he can kind of punch his ticket anywhere.
Staying in the trenches, we'll go back to the Southeast, Buford, Georgia, Edric Houston. I mean, another mountain human being.
Yeah, his thighs were the size of my torso, so you can understand why he's a 5-star defensive lineman. Great interview, electric personality. Love talking to Edric Houston.
Here's Edric Houston.
We are here at the On3 NIL Elite Series with 5-star defensive lineman Edric Houston out of Buford, Georgia. Edric, you're fresh off an official visit to USC. What was it like going all the way out to the West Coast and checking out the Trojans?
It was great just to be able to go to LA and just see what they have to offer. It's my first time being up there, and just amazing to see everything they have there, the amount of people you can meet, amount of connections. The Lakers were playing that weekend, so you be able to see some of the players walk in there, crypto.com, and it was just amazing. The school was great. Met a lot of people, a lot of coaches that I would just talk to over the phone. It was great just to see them in person, spend time with them a whole weekend, and just get to know them.
Awesome, man. And Georgia's in the mix for you, too. I mean, Georgia obviously not too far from where you're going to high school right now. Is there pressure for you to stay home maybe and be closer to what Georgia's already building right now?
Really, traveling isn't really a big thing for me. Georgia's a great place, amazing coaches, amazing players, just a great football team in general, but really the location doesn't matter.
Ohio State has you locked in for an official visit here just in a couple weeks from now. What are you looking to learn when you get up to Columbus?
I've been up there twice. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to solidify the things I've seen, just to be able to tell me just what they have to offer, where I fit in as a player, how am I going to be coached, and will they try to change me as a player, until fit in their scheme, basically.
Yeah, when it comes to Georgia, kind of the same question. I think it'll be your 7th time going there. Once you do officially visit, at that point, are you trying to learn something new, just trying to get comfortable? What's that visit about for you when you get to Athens?
I'm just trying to get comfortable with it. Just trying to see, is that the place I want to be for 4 years, or maybe even 3.
All right, you've taken one official visit. You got 2 more locked in. What other programs are you considering for an official visit?
I got 2 locked in, Georgia, then I just took on the USC. Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson are getting the other 3.
Who's calling you the most? Like, who you look down at the phone and it's like, man, this guy's calling me again. He wants to talk. Like, who's calling you the most out of maybe not even just those schools, just in general?
Really, it was Clemson at first, but now USC. Ever since I officially visited up there, they've been on me, just all the coaches that I met up there.
What's your path to a decision look like? Do you think that you're just going to pop up one day and say, hey, I'm ready to commit? Do you think it's going to be a situation where you narrow your focus to 5 schools? How are you going to work your way to a decision?
So I'm going to narrow it down to 5 schools. I'm locked in to commit August 22nd on my 18th birthday.
So is there a favorite right now?
Definitely a favorite now, but I can't say.
How about a hint, like an emoji? Just give us an emoji that could.
Just keep it under wraps. Little West Coast traction, Josh, for Edric Houston.
A little West Coast traction, just coming off that USC visit, so he's feeling good about the Trojans, but ultimately, I think Edric Houston's going to play in football in the South.
Well, what do you say we round the final turn here? Let's finish this thing. Let's bring in Chad Simmons, National Director of Recruiting for On3. We'll just get a Simmons sprint, if you will, for all his intel. What do you say we do it?
Let's pass the baton.
Here's Chad Simmons. And that does it for the On3 NIL Elite Series Media Day. We got a lot we're going to jump into on Wednesday. But, Chad, we're glad to have you here. You talk to all these guys, man. We do the Simmons scoop. We're going to jump into what we call now the Simmons sprint. We're going to give you a bunch of guys. We're going to just give you the name and want to hear what your takeaways were when it comes to them. So let's start with the number 1 player in the country, Edge, Dylan Stewart.
Yeah, I would say not a lot of surprising news on my end today. I think South Carolina is in a great spot. Talked about relationships, comfortability with Shane Beamer, Sterling Lucas. I think Miami is definitely on the come up with his list as well. A school to watch. And you have, of course, Georgia coming off that visit to Tennessee. They're in the mix as well. But I think South Carolina, Miami, and probably Ohio State, probably those top schools right now.
All right, let's switch it over to Buford High School and talk about the number 1 safety in America, KJ Bolden.
There's a couple guys here from Buford, and starting with KJ, I think Ohio State, Georgia, kind of setting the pace there, I think, Josh, for me, as far as the schools, I think that lead the way. Of course, he goes to Clemson this weekend. He has a visit to Bama. And then the school to keep an eye on that's kind of been surging this spring is Auburn University. He'll be there in September for an OV. He was going to commit in the summer, likely in August. That Auburn visit pushes decision back as well. So I think Auburn's definitely a factor now in a school to watch, but I still think Ohio State and Georgia are those 2 at the top.
Let's talk about the number 1 tackle in the country now, Brandon Baker from Mater Dei.
I think one of the biggest things that he started getting some chatter about today was coming in with that Oregon backpack. He's fresh off a trip to Oregon. He's been there multiple times. I think this time a year ago, I would have said Oregon was in a great spot for Brandon Baker, a top guy from Mater Dei out there in Southern California. They had an O-line switch with Adrian Clem going to the NFL. New coach in, relationship quickly established. I like Oregon again as that top school. Other schools are a factor, but I like where Oregon's at for Brandon Baker.
Let's go back to the state of Georgia. The #1 mullet in the country, Sammy Brown, was in town. What did you learn about Sammy Brown?
I don't want to say too much about him. The guy's benching like 600 pounds, might be in
might be
WWE
listening.
around the corner, so I can't give too much away about Sammy. But I think it's been pretty consistent for me with Clemson and Georgia, the two schools closest to home. He's right there at Jefferson High School on the east side, close to Athens, not far from Clemson. It takes OVs to both those schools the first 2 weekends in June. I still like where those two schools are at. He came off the official visit to Tennessee this past weekend. The Vols are definitely in this. He has family in Johnson City, right outside of Knoxville as well. Then you have Oklahoma and Ohio State. But I still think right now Clemson and Georgia are in the best two positions.
Chad, we're going to keep with this sprint and talk about Edric Gibson, running back from IMG Academy.
You know, I still say hook him when I talk about Edric Gibson. You know what I mean? Tashard Choice went into Florida last year, got Cedric Baxter, top running back in the country. Choice, his relationship, his connection with Gibson, that family. I still like where Texas is at. I think Florida, Georgia, Miami, maybe Tennessee still in the mix. But, again, I think they're all chasing that school in Austin, Texas.
All right, we had a great time sitting down and talked with 5-star wide receiver Mike Matthews. What's your read on his recruitment?
He's a sharp young man. Doesn't give a lot away. I think right now, based on what I've picked up from him and other people just reading between the tea leaves, is Tennessee's in a great spot. I've thought Clemson maybe was up there, maybe a little bit higher than what maybe they really are. I think USC is a legit player. He hasn't been there since last July. Went out to L.A., but he'll be in an OV there in a couple of weeks to USC. And then you got Georgia, Bama, and Clemson, of course, hanging around. But I think Tennessee is in a good spot here at this point heading into June.
Chad, you said hook 'em for Edric Gibson. There's a lot of people in Austin now with bated breath watching the recruitment of Edge Colin Simmons. What did you learn about Colin?
That could be hook 'em also. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if he ends up staying home. I think the school that has a little bit more momentum now than they did maybe a few months ago is Texas A&M, another school in state and College Station. He was there in the spring. He's close to Terry Price, but I still think the top two schools leading the way are Texas, then LSU. I think LSU lost a little bit with Jamar Cain leaving for the NFL. That was his guy, his connection there in Baton Rouge. Again, he's still tight with the staff. They've been there 3 or 4 times. Mom's very much in this as well. They're recruiting her also, but I think Sark is doing a great job, him and that staff at Texas.
Edric Houston, besides him being a mountain of a man, what do you think? Who do you think's out front right now in his recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, a mountain of a man, but a track star, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And I think he's pretty guarded, too, about kind of, who he may be leaning towards at this point. But he was coming off an OV to USC about a week and a half or so ago. I think the Trojans set the bar high. I don't think location's a big factor for Edric. I think he'll look at them. He'll look at Ohio State, of course, Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson. But I think maybe if I had to name 3 schools, I think it's Ohio State, USC, and Georgia right now at the top for Edric Houston.
A big-time wide receiver. Kept sticking with our theme of big-time playmakers that were at this event today. Ryan Wingo, fresh off a visit to Knoxville. What did you learn about Ryan Wingo?
I like Tennessee. I mean, they had that rock, we want Wingo.
Yeah.
I think he feels that love at UT, whether it be from Coach Pope, the receivers coach, or Heupel, the head coach there in Knoxville. I think Tennessee, heading into the summer months, is the team to beat. But he's the guy that's going to take this the distance to December. So he's got OVs to in-state, Missouri, of course, Georgia, back-to-back national champs, Michigan, Texas, Miami's in the mix. So still a lot of teams for Tennessee to hold off to win at the end. But right now, I do like UT's position.
All right, the final leg of the Simmons sprint. We want to talk about wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, the #1 wide receiver in America, committed to Ohio State, but taking visits. Is there anything or is there a reason for Ohio State fans to be worried right now?
Look, I think you have to always be worried with a player like that. You have a 5-star plus wide receiver who I've had multiple college coaches call generational type of talent. So nobody is going to give up on a guy like Jeremiah Smith, and Jeremiah Smith is going to take his visits.
Right.
Keep that communication open. He went to Georgia a week and a half ago. He goes to Florida this week. He'll visit Florida State and Miami later on in June, and that comes after an OV to Ohio State. So is there a reason to worry? I wouldn't say worry per se, but you have to be on alert when you're a fan looking at a kid like Jeremiah Smith. He came in today with the Ohio State backpack, the Georgia duffel bag. He has Dylan Raiola in one ear. He has, of course, DJ Lagway in the other ear, Brian Hartline on Zoom probably, and then Ryan Day on FaceTime. time. So he's got guys all over the place coming at him. He's listening to everybody.
Yeah.
Then you have Ron Dugans. You have Mario Cristobal. Those guys are not going to give up on a player like that. Again, I wouldn't say worry is the right word to use when talking about from Ohio State's perspective, but Georgia's a threat. I think Florida's a threat. He's going to visit Miami and Florida State as well.
Yeah.
This thing will not be done until that ink dries come December.
Through the finish line, Chad Simmons, National Director of Recruiting for us here at On3. I'm telling you, you're not getting anywhere the kind of intel that Chad's bringing to the table. National Recruiting Analyst for On3, Josh Newberg, myself, JD Pical, our entire team here at On3. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next time.